morning and welcome back to 501c TV. I'm your host, Janelle Harris, and this is the podcast that talks to nonprofits, thought leaders, system change leaders, and nonprofit partners to find out what's new in the industry and any new events that might be going on. And this morning, I'm very excited to have with me Katherine Murphy and Kelly Garvis from the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Good morning, and I'm so excited to have you both with me today. This is a really obviously important topic. There's so much great things. I did a lot of research on what the organization is doing out there, and I'm excited for you guys to tell everyone that's listening, all the ways that you guys are stepping in and really helping out with a very important topic for anyone probably out there that's listening, and which is mental health. So thank you for joining. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Wonderful. Tell me a little bit about maybe your roles at NAMI and how you got started and how long have you been there?
Sure. So I just celebrated my 8th anniversary
gosh.
at NAMI.
Congrats.
My first anniversary as CEO, so I was director of programs prior to
Good
that.
for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I
awesome.
love the agency. I love the work. I love the mission. I love the people. I have a fantastic board. So
Awesome.
I feel so lucky to have my home at NAMI.
Yeah.
And before that, I worked in some other local nonprofits.
Okay.
And have always been really involved in programs. I love that aspect.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun new challenge to move into the leadership role.
Good. Wonderful. And Kelly?
Yes, so I'm the development director, and I've been at NAMI for about 4 years now, and had been working in the area at some other nonprofits, at like the Multidistributor Theater in the Diocese of Palm Beach, and just really felt mental health was really important to myself and my family.
Absolutely. And we'll dive into that because to me it's also an important topic for a host of many different reasons. But one thing I thought was really cool, one thing I love is like the history of how an organization comes to be. And this one really is a grassroots kind of organization. So I would love for one of you to tell our listeners how this kind of got started, because it's actually a really cool kind of little story.
Sure, I'll take that on if you want to fill anything in. So NAMI was started nationally in 1979 in Madison, Wisconsin. There was a convergence of family support group leaders from throughout the country. Dozens of them came together, and they from many states, and they wanted to form a nonprofit, to make something happen, to have some cohesion to what they were doing. It really started with two women whose sons had schizophrenia, and I always say NAMI's a kitchen table organization because it was two moms coming together at the kitchen table, and so many of our affiliates throughout the country as we've grown are, even to this day, kitchen table nonprofits.
Yeah, and that's really interesting to me, and in talking with a lot of nonprofits now for as long as we've been doing this, it's amazing to me the power of parents or moms, parents, families that sometimes don't choose to be on this journey or even start an organization like that, but it's the circumstances that they're dealt, and then it grows grassroots around a kitchen table somewhere. It grows over time into such an amazing organization. So for me, when I get to read the histories on these, I'm like, that is so cool, because it's just a lot of times it's just out of the need of somebody caring so deeply about somebody they love, or something that's happened to them that grows into something like this that is just able to help so many people.
Absolutely.
So
and then
really cool.
The journey that happened locally is a local support group had started, and then they were encouraged to join this national movement. So in 1983, our local support group joined the National Alliance.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. So, in thinking back to, going back that far back in time, let's talk a little bit about what's changed, because I know that, in the mental health space, the landscape has changed so much, even just from a COVID standpoint. There's a lot more challenges that came around because of that. But why do you think it's so important now that we have these organizations? And I think the big thing is taking away the stigma of talking about it. And so let's talk a little bit about how that's changed from back when this first started to today.
Sure. So the stories that we hear from a lot of those early families is that the mothers were blamed, the families were blamed for the conditions and that occurred with their children. Their parenting was critiqued. People didn't really understand that these are conditions of the brain, and there was a lot of blame placed on people who experienced them. Moving out of institutionalization, there was a lack of community support for people living with mental health conditions. I hear stories from some of our older volunteers that they saw movies that portrayed mental illness in very scary ways, and they didn't want to be associated with that. And so many people still carry these early associations and that fear to talk about what's going on. I think that's changed a lot with younger generations. They've really embraced and accepted the role that our mental health plays in our lives, but they still do face a lot of pushback from their parents or the older people in their families, where there still is a lot of negative thought around talking about your mental health. But then society does punish us sometimes for talking about our mental health. There are many professions where you can't be open about your experiences, and so we really do try to normalize that. We recognize that 1 in 5 people will be impacted by a mental health condition every year. This is really normal. It's really common that people have these experiences, and I think that's really come to light a lot more, and our culture starting to accept that.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that statistic up, because maybe you have some other just interesting little stats that you can give us on it, because I think that people don't understand really the depth of this. It's like I think a lot of times we talk about mental health or mental illness, but it's this big broad kind of picture. So what are some of the different stats or trends that you guys are seeing maybe over the last few years even in that space?
Sure. Do you want to talk about the workplace?
Yeah, so especially for our workplace, so like Katherine talked about before, people may or may not be open to talking about that. We have a lot of burnout that we talk about, but depression is the leading cause for short-term and long-term disability, and costs the economy, I think it's like $3 billion a year across the globe. So it has a really big impact there. Additionally, we also see that people's first year, the first time that they have symptoms, it takes them 11 years before they actually go to seek treatment. So that's a very long time. You think about if your arm is broken for 11 years, it's going to be a lot harder to treat it. So those are just some of the facts and sort of the statistics around that kind of stuff. Yeah, and and going along with that, the part that really struck me when going through all the information and all the programs that you have, they're super important. This stuck with me is all the, and we'll get into this, we'll get into everything that you guys do. I just want people to have kind of a background of where we're leading up to and why it's so important. But you guys had something on your website about how, usually in a child, they might have some type of condition that they recognize by age 14. But to your point, they don't address that because they don't know how to, it's the stigma associated with it. They don't know how to talk about it. And they don't address that until way into early adulthood, which to me was wow, that was so sad to me. I was to your point, can you imagine having, any other type of disease, ailment, a broken anything, and living with that for so long? To me, I was oh my gosh, that hit me hard. And we'll talk a little bit too. There's an amazing program that you guys do. I watched the video online about ending the silence, which you guys do in the middle and high school sector. So I want to get into that a little bit later too.
And to build on that point though, so 1 in 6 youth will experience a mental health condition every year. And 50% of people with mental illness show signs by age 14.
Right, that's
and
what I
so
read.
These are things that we can pick up on early and provide that early intervention and help these young people to prevent later negative outcomes, whether that's incarceration, hospital stays.
Sure.
So if we can help the young people to learn how to manage their symptoms, how to cope with them, to build their toolkit, we can really help to divert some later issues.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was really cool. And we'll talk about that. So basically, maybe you guys can walk me through there's kind of 3 approaches that you have, right? So you have mental health education, you have support groups, and then you have presentations. Is that kind of the 3 pillars?
Education, support, and advocacy are our 3 pillars.
Okay, perfect. So maybe walk me through those and tell me a little bit about some of the resources that you guys have available through NAMI.
Excellent. So with education, well, first of all, people with lived experience are the heart of all of our programs. So the way that NAMI started in 1979, that continues on today, where we lead with the lived experience. So some of our presenters or leaders, they may or may not have a professional mental health background, but they have their lived expertise
Which I
of
think is
what
huge.
it's like to have a condition or to love somebody with one.
Right.
One thing that's really special about NAMI is we started with the family, and the family is still an integral part about our delivery of services.
Yes.
So many people with conditions, they may or may not recognize that, and they often need help and support. And so we try to arm the family with the tools and resources that they need to be able to help their loved one who's experiencing a mental health condition.
Which I thought was so cool. I love that whole point. I love the peer-led programs because I think there's something just way more impactful about hearing it from somebody that's, you know, like you. If I see somebody like me and I say, oh my gosh, they had this, they went through this, and they came out on the other side and they're doing great and they're happy, that makes me more prone to being like, okay, there's hope for me too.
There's this really great story to explain kind of like what NAMI is and how we sort of like fit in is like, there's this man, he fell into a hole and somebody comes to walk by and he says, help me out. And the first man comes by and he goes, oh, I can help you, and writes him a script and throws it in and says, you'll do better, take the script, and walks away. He's still stuck in the hole. Another man comes up, he yells out, help me out. And they go, oh, I'll pray for you. And then they walk away. And then a third person comes up and the man shouts out, help me out. And the third person jumps into the hole. And he says, well, why did you do that? You're stuck in here with me. And he goes, but I've been here before and I know the way out. So that's really like what it is. What we do.
Oh my gosh, that makes me, here we go. Every time I do this, I'm like, oh my gosh,
It's contagious.
Yeah, that's like a perfect representation of everything that you guys do, which I think is so cool.
And one of the mottos of the disability rights movement is nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we started with the families leading other families, but recognized pretty early on that peers, the people with the conditions themselves, need to lead each other.
Right.
And to provide that sense of hope and that path forward.
Yeah.
And so back to our education, we have these programs that are created at the national level through NAMI National. We represent our Palm Beach County affiliate. And just to backtrack a bit, there are over 600 affiliates throughout the country.
Thank you. That was my next question, Catherine. I'm like, how many are there actually?
And 24 in Florida.
That's
and
awesome.
So we have neighbors in the Treasure Coast, Broward, Miami-Dade County. So wherever you are, it's very likely that there's a NAMI near you.
Yeah.
And our programs are best practice. And so if you're taking a class in Treasure Coast or in California or in Palm Beach County, you're getting the same material so that we know that it's
all consistent.
Systemized.
And,
our leaders, they'll attend a program and then go on to state training.
Okay.
The state trainers receive training through our national training program.
So cool.
And so we maintain fidelity to that model, which is very helpful because we have a lot of snowbirds.
Yeah.
Somebody might come and live here just for one season, and then they can come and volunteer with us.
That's awesome.
Or, bring back information. We have a lot of people who move here come here from out of the area to receive treatment.
Right.
And their family might want to contact a local NAMI and find out what type of services are available in that
So
area.
cool. Makes sense.
And so that's something that we can really offer. So our education programs, we have two main programs, family to family and peer to peer. So the family to family course, it's 8 weeks, and it's family members educating each other around those mental health tools. Peer to peer, it's the peers educating each other.
Got
They
it.
look at resiliency, recovery tools, SMART goals, action planning, looking at how they can lead the best version of their lives, and building a lot of those wellness skills, and really arming themselves for living with what could potentially be a lifelong condition. With the family class, then there are a couple different variations. One is for the caregivers or loved ones of somebody who served in the military. It's called NAMI Homefront.
I saw that online, which is really cool.
So-
Very important.
Right, and it's like the family-to-family class, but it has another emphasis on traumatic brain injury and PTSD.
Right.
And then there's one for the parents of younger kids. It's called NAMI Basics. So that's if your kid is up to age 22,
Gotcha.
and it provides that specialized information for caring for a younger person.
Awesome. That's so great. I love everything about that. Are there any new programs that you guys have up and coming, or like what are some new things that maybe NAMI is working on for the next year or 2 or 5?
So an exciting new program that we are in the middle of launching, it's called Integrative Resilience Training.
Okay.
It was created by our local affiliate, And it teaches people skills on building their resiliency. You know,
Okay.
we all face different challenges in our lives, but what can we do that's accessible to us every day, that's free, that we can learn for ourselves, that we can teach somebody else, and we can, you know, go down into the well with somebody and say,
Right.
have you tried this breathing technique? Have you tried, you know, this type of activity? And so it really, it pulls from a lot of really great evidence-based techniques that people have accessible to them.
Okay, and is that something that you're doing through these peer-led programs?
Yes, so
Okay.
that one, it's just gone through the pilot phase, and we've offered, we're in our third class right now.
So cool.
It's 8 sessions,
Okay.
and we've invited a lot of the peer specialists throughout the county to participate. So peer specialists are individuals who have either substance use or mental health conditions, and they use their journey of hope and recovery to inspire others. And so they were in one of our first cohorts in the program.
That's awesome.
We've invited a lot of community leaders, people who work with youth, people who are in the faith communities to take our second course, and then we opened it up for our third program. So we're in the middle of that, and we're about to go into a teacher program.
Awesome.
So we're going to train new facilitators, and then we're hoping to launch it to the community in the fall.
And I think what's exciting about this program is that not only are they learning the techniques that Katherine talked about, but we're also explaining like the science behind it and how the brain works and why those techniques, the neuroscience behind it. So it's really connecting and explaining why does gratitude work? Why does diaphragmatic breathing work?
Yeah.
So it's really connecting that. So it's a really exciting program for us.
I think that's really cool, and that's important to note because, you know, it's easy to just be like, okay, so here's some things to do, and, you know, not really fully understanding why am I doing them or what way is that going to be helping me. So that's really cool. That's awesome, you guys. Really neat.
We're really excited about that one.
I love that. So tell me about some of the other, let's see, we talked about, tell me about like the community presentations, because that was something that also kind of sparked me a little bit.
Great. So we have one that we've launched this year. It's called Stigma Free, and we can come and talk to companies about how to be a stigma-free company.
That's so cool.
We spend most of our time at our jobs,
Yeah.
and if we are experiencing a mental health condition or somebody in our family is, many people, they don't share that journey at work. They might come in and share if somebody in their family has another type of illness, but if they are hospitalized for a mental health condition, if they had a rough night, families often keep that to themselves.
Right.
And so it can be a very lonely experience. So we talk to workplaces about being stigma-free.
Awesome.
Earlier you mentioned the ETS program, Ending the Silence. That's
Yes.
ones that we do in middle schools and high schools, and talk to students around the early warning signs of mental health conditions, how to reach out, how to be a friend, how to talk to a trusted adult. We introduce them to the professionals at their school who can
Right.
provide them support. We also have a new program called Sharing Hope, which is really targeted for people in Black communities to start to have conversations around mental health. So we've been offering that as part of our Pathways to Hope conference, which is a really incredible church-based conference, a faith-based conference that we are going to offer for our third year.
Cool. That's awesome. And where is that? Is that like just in a different place every year?
So our
that you guys
first
do that,
year
like
we
nationally?
were at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church,
Okay.
and that was the first year. Last year was at Palm Beach Atlantic University.
Oh, awesome.
So we're still ironing out the details for 2024.
Got you. So I also saw you guys had a cool hashtag for the ETS program, the Ending the Silence program. It was like, I don't know if this is still relevant, but it's hashtag okay to talk. And you guys check out on their website too. They have, why I was like so moved by this one is you guys have a really great YouTube video out there talking to kids that have actually gone through this program at their school, and it's like it's really awesome because they're all, you know, kids are like a unique, you know, subset anyway, especially at that age, and so getting them to feel comfortable talking about it, and you know, everyone in that video was like, oh my gosh, I wish we had this sooner, and this should be in every school, and it was a really neat little video that you guys had up there.
If I could add one more presentation, in our own voice, we offer it online at least once a month,
Okay.
and individuals living with mental health conditions share their journey. And they
Awesome.
talk about things that they've been through, but really that hope and the resiliency. But, you know, what is it like to experience these various mental health conditions?
Yeah.
And we also go into the community and provide those. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you have a group, if you'd like to learn about more about mental health, we'd be happy to come out and present.
Perfect. And so tell me a little bit too about how, because I did notice like on the website, you guys have, I don't know if this is your text line, this 898-211.
It's a national line.
It is a national line. And I thought that was actually really cool. So it's a 24/7 free confidential text service, because I know like a lot of people, it's hard to maybe just pick up the phone and talk to somebody live. And I think like text is like a nice kind of easy, confidential way to like ease in to get some help. So I thought that was really cool. Are there any other resources to just kind of hook into NAMI or other organizations that you guys think are helpful aside from that 898-211 number that you can text?
Of course, there's our local 211. Across the country, 988 was launched, and so wherever you are, you can contact 988.
Okay.
Our local 211 answers that line.
Oh, cool.
So that's a great place to start, especially if somebody's in a crisis, if they're with somebody else who's in a crisis, or they just want to talk.
Sure.
It's a great option. We have standard business hours at our affiliate, but we have a family resource specialist, and she takes calls from family members who are looking to navigate these mental health conditions. So let's say your loved one, maybe you have to call the police, or maybe they've been hospitalized, or maybe they've been incarcerated. We help talk to the families about mental health, understanding how to support their loved one, and how to navigate the system.
That's so huge. I love that. So before we run out of all the time, Kelly, I definitely want to talk about too, you guys have some amazing events, and I want to make sure that everybody knows about them so they can get involved, they can support you guys. There's some really fun ones. So talk to me about what you guys have coming up here. I know May is a big month as well, so I want to touch on that.
Yeah, so May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So along with other agencies, we are a part of Get Your Green On, which is a big campaign. So it's not owned just by one organization, but it's really owned by lots of organizations in Palm Beach County. So there's lots of activities around that. We'll have a couple programming ourselves, but there's a big day that everyone in the county is encouraged to wear green in support of mental health. So you'll see a lot of information coming out about that.
Perfect. I love that.
And then in addition to that, in November, we do NAMI Walks. So NAMI Walks is a great, fun community event where people come out for themselves, for their family members, for their coworkers. Hundreds of people are out just supporting one another, and it's really inspiring to see people, that hope that a lot of people have. It's a great day. It gives people a very positive. So, we haven't really talked a whole lot about stigma and those ways that we're working to remove that. And so the walk is one really great way. Gives us a positive platform to share our stories about why I'm walking, why I'm a part of NAMI, and that story might impact somebody else. They might be like, oh, they're talking about NAMI and about their mental health. I'll go to them. They're a trusted person.
Absolutely.
So it's really a really great event. In addition, it also supports all of our free programs and services. So everything we talked about today, we don't charge for anything that we do.
Which is incredible.
Which is great because, if you have a loved one that's getting services, it's already expensive. So we're all about breaking down those barriers, so that financial barrier.
Awesome.
So we have the walk. It's on November 2nd. We're looking for people to get involved, either volunteering for the day of, but also for the planning and marketing and logistics.
Awesome.
And then in December, we do our annual luncheon. And this really speaks to one of our 3 pillars of education. So we bring in a speaker that talks about mental health. So it's not just a lunch and an auction, but you'll also be educated that day as well learn some more about mental health. So
where's that one at, Kelly?
That's at the Marriott in West Palm Beach. It's on December 12th.
Perfect. So we'll put that up. And then where is the walk that you guys are doing?
Yes, the walk is at John Prince Park in Lake Worth.
Oh, love it. Okay, perfect. So all super close. So follow them on social, check out their website and get involved. I'm sure there are so many volunteer opportunities that you guys can recommend. And if people want to get involved, do they just go through the website? Is that the best place to do it?
Absolutely, NAMIPBC.org.
Perfect. We'll put that up also. And is there any last things? I know this goes so fast, and like you said, we could do probably 10 more, podcasts just on particular topics, offshoots of this, because there's so much to take in with it. But anything you want to leave us with that really kind of speaks to you, that you want people to know about NAMI or just, the mission in general?
Yeah, I would say we are here for you. You're not alone. That's one of the most important
Yeah.
things that we try to let people know, that if they are having these experiences, that there are a lot of others who are here to support them. Everything that we offer is free of cost. It's very easy to start to access our programming. You can go online and sign up for a support group today.
Awesome.
Those are all peer-led by people who really understand
Yeah.
what you're going through.
I love that. Kelly?
I think, is just hope that there is help there. And like Catherine said, that you can sign up for something today, and that we have stuff that's offered online as well as in person. So wherever you are, we're meeting you where you are. So.
Wonderful. Well, I truly appreciate you both joining me here today. Such an important topic, and I love everything that you guys are doing. It's so needed, obviously important, and I can't wait to see like all the other good things that you guys have coming out and what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And join us next time here on 501c TV. And we want to give a special thank you, as always, to Kana House Studios, Wellington's first and only content creation studio. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.